Hey, good morning. Man, it's going to be a gorgeous day. The sun's coming up and it's turning green, and greens are my favorite color. And so the Lord woke me up this morning, and I want to share something that He just put on my heart, and it's why you have to say something. And I don't know if you've ever been somewhere or you were out with a bunch of people and just kind of enjoying yourself, and all of a sudden it takes this downward spiral where it's like they put a target on you and they start saying things and picking on you, and you become kind of like the butt of their jokes, and you just put on your best smile and act like it don't bother you, and but you, just it's tearing you up inside, and you go home and you become just bitter and resentful. And why didn't I say that? Why didn't I say this? And it's kind of like that story of the Saint Bernard. He comes over and he plops his big old paws on your shoulder. He's licking your face like he's loving you, but then he's peeing on your boots. And sometimes that's how we feel, and you say, I just wish I could be more real, and I wish I could just speak my mind and say what I don't appreciate. And in relationships, whether, what I've really learned, and I think is really interesting about the time that we're in right now, is that people are really finding their voice. I mean, they're speaking out, whether it be the cattle industry or uh, political or whatever, they're starting to say, hey, this isn't right. There's something wrong here. And I think it's a good thing that we're not just asleep, but we're starting to wake up and to speak. There's a story in the Bible, and I'm just going to give you the problem. Part one today is just the problem, but King Hezekiah was arguably one of my favorite Old Testament characters because he just had a passion for God. He just loved God, and he tore down all the high places where the idol worship was going on. And matter of fact, he had a staff of Moses with that bronze snake on it. And he noticed that everybody was burning incense to that staff. And he says, well, this ain't right. And he grabs it and he smashes it. He says, you're worshiping the artifact and not the God. And so, I mean, he had that incredible sense of right. But yet and I love this about the Bible because it just shows our flaws. It don't hide flaws. It doesn't hide our humanity. It just shows it, puts it out there and says, wow, look at this, you know. And it just shows how God still used these people. But Hezekiah has an adversary that's coming up, and this guy's just gobbling up nations as he goes. And now he's at Hezekiah's doorstep. And he begins this psychological war. He says, man, the Lord has sent me to gobble you up, that you're going to be my servants. And he's telling Hezekiah this. And and Hezekiah falls into that trap, and he opens up the treasury and gives them all the silver and gold. But isn't it funny, because it's never enough with people like this. It's never enough. They want more. And I think some of you can identify. You've met people like this or have people like this, and it's never enough. And pretty soon got so bad that he pulls the gold off the doorpost and the doors and gives that gold to the Assyrian king. And yet he still comes. And pretty soon he's taunting the people. And he's telling them, man, it gets to the point where they said, can you speak in a different language? You're starting to scare our people. And I mean, this is something that's just, that fear that drives us, and under stress, like I said before, fear and stress are bad decision makers, because you'll just do it and hope for the best. And no, there needs to be thought, and there needs to be a weightiness to our words. And Hezekiah realizes that. I was thinking of another story, and it's about Saul, and how Saul came from being a farm boy to a king. Now listen to this, how he became from a farm boy to a king. And are moments that are going to define you. I believe that with all my heart. There are moments of things that you're going to go through that are going to define who you are. And so the Philistines come against Israel, and Saul he's not even king yet. And they want to make this agreement with Israel. This says, we won't attack you if you gorge out your right eye. You think, that's insane. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard of. But there's reason to the madness, because they realize, how's Israel going to shoot a bow and arrow if they don't have a right eye? And and it's almost like, and Saul's just infuriated, and he says, are we going to let these people talk to us that way? Are we going to let them treat us like this? Or do we have a voice? Or is there something we can do? And I really feel that in this season that we live in this time that we live in, and whether it be a relationship, whether it be politics, whatever it is, and not to be afraid to throw your voice out there. And maybe even find a platform where you say, you know what, you've gone this far, no further. I believe that's when Jesus drew that line in the sand. And the first one to cast the first stone. Man, it's like, wow. Wow, they were speechless. You can come this far, but no further. And sometimes we need to have them boundaries in our life where we say, enough. It's time that we change things. God bless you.